Welcome back. Having concluded our discussion of the Sharia in our last segment, we now turn to the final dimension of Ihsan, Islamic esotericism. In this segment, I want to discuss another very important component of the Islamic tradition that complements the Sharia. It's called the Tariqa. The origins of the Tariqa are in God Himself, just as the origin of Islam and the Sharia are. All the Tariqas, the Sufi orders that we'll discuss in the following segments, are ultimately founded by the Prophet. In the time of the Sahaba and the Tabi'un, the companions of the Prophet and their contemporaries, or the apostolic age of Islam, there was no name for Sharia or Tariqa. These concepts and terms became distinct and crystallized around the second Islamic century as various elements of the revelation became distinct, as our readings discussed. What is the Tariqa? The word itself, like Sharia, means road or path. But interestingly enough, while the word Sharia implies a wide road, the word Tariqa means a narrow path. This is a meaningful distinction because in the Islamic tradition, everyone must follow the Sharia, since it's by virtue of that that a person is a Muslim. But not everyone is called upon to follow the Tariqa. Like the Sharia, the Tariqa has its roots in the Quran and Hadith. In contrast to the Sharia, which is clearly written for everyone to read and follow, although thousands of books have been written about the Tariqa, most of what is truly essential in it is unwritten. The oral tradition plays a significant part in it, and its teachings are fundamentally conveyed from heart to heart. The Tariqa is for those who want to devote themselves to the spiritual life, who want to meet God in the here and now. In certain people, there's an intense desire to reach the divine, and they seek out a path whereby they can do so. At the deepest level, those who follow the Tariqa are those who want to experience in this life what all Muslims hope to experience in the next life. Muslims believe that those who live virtuously, who follow the Sharia, will go to heaven when they die, and there have a vision of God. Thus, the condition for this beatific vision in the next world, this proximity to God, is death, because their life must end before this vision is possible. The Tariqa is for those who seek this vision now, but the condition for this closeness to God is also a kind of death. It's the death of the lower self, the ego, to the desire nature inherent in all human beings. It's a spiritual death. A famous hadith of the Prophet says, "Die before you die. Mutu qabla an tamut." To achieve that death to the self and the realization of truth, haqiqah, that ensues from it is the goal of the Tariqa. There's another hadith of the Prophet that the number of paths, turuq, plural of Tariqa, to God is equal to the number of the children of Adam. This means that there are as many ways to God as there are human beings. And so for Muslims, it means there's a path that links us directly to God by virtue of being human and following the Sharia. To elucidate further for you the relationship between the Sharia and Tariqa, I'll describe a wonderful image that's used among mystical orders that's also discussed in our readings. Visualize a circle whose circumference symbolizes the Sharia and the whole of the Islamic community. Each radius symbolizes a Tariqa, a path from the circumference to the center. And at the center is the haqiqah, truth with a capital T, or divine reality. All of the relationship between the Sharia, the Tariqa, and the source of the Islamic revelation, that is, God Himself, is contained in this very important traditional symbol. Firstly, geometrically speaking, a point can generate a circle, and the circle reflects the point. Secondly, from the center to every point of the circumference of the circle, there's a radius. The circle reflects the center, although it's not directly connected to it. The radius reaches the center directly. It is directly connected to it. Muslims, by virtue of following the Sharia, are, as it were, standing on the circumference of the circle, and it's only by following the Sharia, by standing on the circumference of the circle, that the person can find the path, the tariqah, that leads to the center. And it's arriving at the haqiqah, the divine reality, that one arrives at the source of both the Sharia and tariqah. This concludes this segment on the Sharia, tariqah, and haqiqah. In our next segment, we'll discuss the origin of the term tasawwuf and the doctrines and methods of Sufism.